Good afternoon, taxpayers. I'm hoping I don't have any reverb here because I've been trying to monitor, but using headphones to hopefully eradicate that problem. If anybody hears any reverb, please comment so I know. Again, if I have to forgive me, I'm not feeling the best, but I wanted to get this information out to you. Quite a few things I wanted to go over with you. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but I'm going to be showing you some videos. I'm also going to be showing you a few things with some pictures of things so you can kind of tie it all together. Before I get started, I need to make a correction on something. Last Monday, we had Jack Johnson on, and Jack had made a comment about linemen don't work if there's a storm within 5 miles of the area they're working in. That's not true. You know, and I'm not sure where Jack got the information from, and that's I really don't know. But you know, I've been asked to correct that, so I wanted to make sure we get that put out there. Alrighty, the first thing we're going to get in and talk about is going to be voting. Everybody's always wanting to know about voting records, and voting records just do not tell the whole story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show. Since most of this stuff here is we're dealing with city politicians, but we do have a county commissioner that's running for city mayor. So I'm going to go back through. I went back through some of my some of the minutes from the county meetings. The first one I'm going to go back here is from November 4th, 2019. And let me see where this one here is at, just so people can understand things. All right. Item number 7, motion made by Commissioner Wanda Powers, seconded by Commissioner Todd Beecham to budget $5,000 for the ADA assessments. Motion carried by a vote of 13 ayes and 1 nay, which was Commissioner Andy Anderson. Now, just looking at this on the surface, ADA assessments, that's American with Disabilities Association assessments. And Commissioner Anderson, or Mayor Candidate Anderson, voted not to spend money doing whatever kind of ADA assessments were involved there. Now, we're going to come back to August 11th of 2020, and I don't know if you guys remember this year, but we got a new elevator put at the courthouse. And the elevator was pretty much for handicapped individuals, you know, related to ADA. And item 7 on this one also, motion made by Commissioner Andy Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Aaron Wood to approve the architect to propose bids for the elevator renovations to the courthouse. And that carried. All righty. let's move forward to March 9th, 2021. Okay. This is going to be item 5. Motion made by Commissioner Terry Allen, seconded by Commissioner Todd Beecham to allow Barker Construction to do the new renovation of the elevator project for the courthouse. Motion carried by a vote of 13 ayes, 1 nay, which was Commissioner Andy Anderson. Now, you know, if we go back in here and we just look at these minutes, nothing else, you could almost come to the conclusion that Andy is against Americans with disabilities. And I highly doubt that is true. I know Andy, he is a man of good character. And to say that he is against Americans with disabilities, you know, no, I don't believe it. But when you look at the voting record in those minutes, you know, you could draw that conclusion from it. And that's the problem is, you know, you don't know until you actually understand the context of the conversation there. You know, this is where you actually need to talk to Andy and ask him, you know, why did you vote this way? I mean, it's pretty simple. Or attend the meetings to know the reason he voted the way he did. This is the problem that we've got is we want to quickly just look at minutes and look at a voting record and state, well, this is what it is. This is where this person stands. And that's not the case. You know, you really have to have the context of the conversation, and it's extremely important to have that, so you can have an accurate assessment of where a person stands when they're actually voting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop you up a quick little video. Actually, I got a couple videos I'm going to show you. The first one's going to be from last year, May 28th. This was the first vote, first reading of the property tax that we all know was a 74-cent tax. What most people probably don't know is before the 74-cent tax got approved on the first reading, Gordon Wildridge actually made a motion for a 21-cent tax increase, and it was seconded by Alderman Tim Rhodes. Well, guess what? That failed. Those were the only two that voted for a 21-cent property tax increase. A little further on in that meeting, Alderman Fred Ellis made a suggestion that he made a motion that we take the mayor's recommended 74-cent tax increase. I'm going to show you clips from that video. So, and this, if you want to see this here, go on our YouTube channel and you can watch the video in its entirety and hear everything discussed in that meeting. I mean, this is where context really matters. But I'm going to pop you on right quick with this first video, and then I'll hit the other one right behind it.
Every year, I'll make a motion raising to $1. So I got something to say to we go through. We get a second vote on it, and we raise it all the way up. But I make a motion raising to $12.
Board of going to
General Stone, so they're ready. Oh, ready. $1.04. So it'll be $1.04 and $1.04.
existing or 21 cents.
Oh, I thought you meant right.
That's what I that's 21 cents, or if it's 50 cents, I'll make a motion $1.25 will be it, and if somebody wants to raise it or amend it or whatever, if they don't do a second, y'all put them in, but I'm willing to put some tax on them. It may not be enough, but I'm going to put something out there.
You know,
50 cents.
you do know it's not enough. Let's say, I've got a motion. I've got a good second. I've got a motion made, second. You got a second. When you said, all you do is 1 year later.
And you're pushing it down the road. I have been here since 2009. You have to, if you have so much more with just about, as you call it, broke as a joke. And I have seen that. Can I say on that? In 2021, there was 4 people, including myself, that sat on this board, and I made a comment, and I said, if we would raise this, at that time, 1 penny was equal to $17,900 in tax. if we would have raised that 10 cents that year, you would have only brought in $179,000. But each year, you would have to have 4 members on this board, whoever it might be, to vote for that for the past 4 years. If we had done that at that time, and for every 4 years, we would be spending $716,000. It fell on deaf ears. Nothing happened. So here we are. In 2009, we had no money. 2012, we raised taxes 42 cents. We went from 2012 to 2023, and we raised it 16 cents. Here we are. That is not enough. 25 cents is not going to do it. It's not going to do it. You're going to be the same place as you are now. You're going to be that same place next year. If the state legislature does what it's trying to push through, they're going to try to stop it where you can cap property tax at 5%. If you cap that at 5%, you're stuck. Then what's your city going to do? How are you going to function? You cannot function. No, people complain, a lot of people complain about the police, they complain about the fire department. You don't need them until you need them. And then when you need them, they're not there. Then you're going to come back and say, well, it's your fault. You should have done the right thing. So, with that being said, I'm finished.
Do anything to say.
I'm just going to roll.
Do you do it? This is real there.
We do that with the water rates, we raise that, you know. Everything has gone up for everybody. Do I want to lower taxes? Absolutely not. But I know what reality is. And 25 cents is not living in the real world, and that is not reality. You know, and
Somebody in it.
and
You got a number.
you got a second you can vote for.
Somebody in it.
Call the roll.
This is for
$1.25.
raising 21 cents.
All for whatever it is.
All for the 125.
Let's start somewhere.
Roger Lofton,
No.
Tim Rhodes,
Yes.
Jimmy White,
No.
Dory Mildred,
Yes.
Gabe Williams, Sandra Wood, Fred Ellis.
No.
Okay. Excuse me. As you can see there, Alderman Wildrich proposed a 21-cent increase, and it did not pass. It actually failed 5-2. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Well, not much farther along in that meeting after some more discussion, we got to another, where the 74-cent came in. I'm just going to play you this clip. It's just a few seconds.
We have to do something. So I'll make a motion that we accept the mayor's suggestion of a 74-cent property tax increase. Got a motion and a second.
Okay, as you can see there, the 74-cent tax, a motion was made by Alderman Fred Ellis to accept the mayor's recommended 74-cent property tax increase. All right, and it got a second by Alderman Gabe Williams. And this here is from the minutes directly. And this tells you here the three different options they had. There was no property tax increase, a 50-cent property tax increase, and a 74-cent tax increase. All right. One of the things in that budget that was seen, and this is where one of the problems that we have, that most people didn't catch it. There was 3 budgets proposed. None of those budgets had a variance in what the total expenditure was going to be. The problem was they're going to spend X amount of dollars, whether they get the money from property tax increases or they get the money out of the savings account. They were going to spend money. Anyway, and I think that's what, my conversations with Alderman Wildridge on this here was, he saw that, they wanted to spend, I don't know, $11 million or 12, actually it was a lot more than that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that number was the same on all three budgets, how much they wanted to spend. That's what the budget value was. And what he saw was, hey, this is a property tax increase. We're going to have to figure out some cuts coming along up in here somewhere. And we can, if we don't do something to stop this here, we're going to end up with a 74-cent tax increase. And as you read here in the minutes, I mean, you can see right there, the tax rate was 104. He wanted to go up 21 cents to 125. He got a second by Alderman Rhodes, and it failed 2-5. And then Alderman Ellis made the recommendation of 74 cents, and that's that passed 4-3. Alderman Ellis, Alderman Williams, Alderman Lofton, and Alderman Woods all voted for that there. So a 74-cent property tax increase was voted on the first time around. Now let's come back a little bit further. To help you understand about voting, I'm going to show you another video, because right now, we've got, when that vote came down, that vote passed when they actually passed a budget, which eventually became a 15-cent tax increase. Alderman Wildridge, Alderman Rhodes, Alderman White, and Alderman Ellis voted for that 15 cent. They actually had four votes there. The reason that was Alderman Ellis was the swing vote. As you can tell here, he initially was for the 74-cent property tax increase. Alderman Wildridge had to figure out some way, and he talked with independently, because they can talk one-on-one, to figure out a way that they could get 4 votes to keep us from getting a 74-cent property tax increase. So yes, you know what? There is no denying it in the minutes. You got Wildridge, Rhodes, White, and Ellis all voting for a property tax increase. So does that mean that, if you look at the minutes, that's all it shows? And I'm going to show you the reason it's so valuable to understand this here. Because as you can tell in here, by reading this and watching these videos, Roger Lofton was very emphatic about he wasn't accepting the 21-cent property tax increase. Watch this here. This here is from this year's budget talks.
How it fell out. We're not halfway where we need to be anyway on a lot of things. If we pass this, a lot of projects aren't going to get done. We're just not going to do them. We're going to keep kicking down the road. We need to wrap it up.
Well, last year y'all wanted 74 cents.
But we're
You
not
got
gonna do
15, so you're 59.
You voted for 18. I did not vote for a rate.
No, because you wanted
I did not
74
vote.
cents.
I did not vote for it.
I have a video on my phone, if you'd like to hear it.
I didn't vote.
I have it
did
on
not
my phone,
vote.
if you'd like to hear it. Well, WBJ reported before it did.
Okay, as you can see right there, Alderman Lofton he's right. He's telling the truth. He did not vote for that 15-cent property tax increase because it wasn't enough for what he wanted. He wanted more. So if you go back in and you look at these minutes and that's all you see and nothing else, you're going to sit there and say, well, heck, Wildridge, Rhodes, and White voted for it, and Lofton voted against it. But the reason he voted against it is not shown in the minutes. And that's one of the problems where you can't just sit here and look at minutes and say, hey, this is the way things go. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this thing here with voting and understand where these aldermen are. And the same thing goes in with county commissioners and anybody in an elected body who is actually looking at, they have to make the choice of how they spend tax dollars. This is one of the things that I'm going to bring back up to. I'm going to carry along as we move through this video. I want you to see this here, right here. if you noticed, when Alderman Ellis actually went in here to start making cuts on the budget, well, the fire police chief, the public works director, and city recorder all got up and talked about, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. This is one of the things that most people don't pay attention to. What happens is the department heads bring a budget. Well, they bring information to the mayor. The mayor, the mayor creates the budget, and then they present it to the board, and the board votes on the budget. Where the problem here is people aren't looking at this here. Is these department heads are coming in here and making, outrageous requests of stuff. They're wanting they're the ones. The alderman's not out here wanting to buy brand new trucks all the time. They have no clue what's going on as far as what they get the information coming from the department heads, and they trust the department heads to do the job and give them correct information. And I'm going to take, and I want to show you something too. I don't know if I loaded that here in or not, but let me double check here and make sure. That might actually help you understand where information, where they think this is, they're trusting in the department heads, but now they're starting to find out differently, and they're reacting differently based on the information that they're getting. As you guys probably know, Alderman Rhodes had he brought up in a meeting earlier this year, I think it was sometime in the May meeting, if I remember correctly, about them being told that the utilities department was doing really good last year. They were told that. Yeah, we're good. So they gave out pay raises. Well, guess what? Come to find out, from a state agency who actually does oversight, the utility board comes down and says, you guys are net negative. You got problems here. All right. I want you to take and watch this little clip here, just so you understand how this here goes. Because not only did Alderman Rhodes point it out in this same meeting, I'm not going through that part of the video because it's like 6 or 7 minutes long, but Alderman Ellis even acknowledged that that's what they were told. Take a listen.
I'm just saying that in the fiscal year 2024, last year, we were told everything was hunky-dory good.
You are correct. That is what was said.
And it was good.
That is what was said.
Pass out the raises because everything's good. So we did. Now we find out it wasn't good. We're finding out.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about. These aldermen trust what the information that they're getting from the department heads. They're trusting the information they get from the mayor. And when it gets down to it, hey, they're not getting factual information. And I'm going to take in the next section of this podcast, we're going to talk about that as well, so you can kind of understand how it goes. Now, I want to take and also go back. If you look on our YouTube channel at the May 28th, 2024 meeting, I've got it listed as BOMA, which is the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, May 28th, 2024. If you go back in and listen to that video, starting somewhere around about the 2-hour mark, because that video was 3 hours and 4 minutes and our batteries died, so we didn't get the whole thing. But if you go back in and listen, somewhere around about the 2-hour mark, and they start talking about the budget, the mayor gets up there and he gives pretty much a doomsday scenario. You guys are, we got to get this passed. If we don't get this passed, state's going to come down and take us over, and all the, we're going to lose this and we're going to fall apart, and it's just, the apocalypse is coming. So what do aldermen do? This is the type of behavior that's been passed out to them left and right, and that they've tried to take and deal with. And they vote based on the information given to them, and that's one of the problems here. But let me take and pop this something else up I want you to see here. This is actually the agenda for tomorrow night. If you look at pretty much any of those items down there under new business, discuss/approve. All right. These aldermen read this here, and I've complained about this here, and it does no good. It's still the same old thing over and over and over again. When you say discuss/approve, that's pretty much telling them you guys need to pass this. Well, you know what? Why isn't it discuss/vote? Why isn't it just discuss? It's, it may be subliminal if you want to consider it that, but bottom line is these are the things these aldermen get handed to them constantly. And they're dealing with this stuff. And they're sitting here looking at, okay, well, we got this going on. We got this going on. Our department heads who are actually out here in the field doing all this stuff here is telling us, we got to have this, we got to have that, we got to have this. So yes, is it, and I've heard things that people say, well, it's the mayor. Well, yeah, the mayor gets up there. He's the one who creates these agendas. He's the one who puts discuss/approve. These are the things that people don't see. And unless you're really paying attention, you don't quite understand what's happening. So this information is constantly being fed to these aldermen, and they have to trust in it. Well, you know what? Some of them have gotten to the point now where they don't trust it because they're seeing it. Case in point, Alderman Rhodes seeing, hey, you know what? You guys told us you were good. We gave you a pay raise, and then we come to find out you're not good. And then, you raised your rates 2 years ago, and then you raised them again this year. And that's the problem. And now these aldermen are starting to pay attention, and they're starting to stand up against it. And, and if you look at the aldermen who are supporting this here, you can generally find a tie somewhere in there, be it family or friends or just part of the good old boy system. That's just how it works around here. Now, again, we're talking about trusting information. I'm going to bring you up something here. This is from Alderman Ellis's Facebook page. And I'm going to show you a couple things. I've got 4 screenshots here from that there so you can understand it. If you notice in here, right off the get-go, he talks about the property tax has been pretty much flat since, where is it at in here? At 90 cents, wow, from 2011 to 2022, it looks like. Sorry, my screen is kind of small here. Okay, that's not true. That is simply not true. Number one, it's going to fluctuate with property reappraisals, which is on the 7-year cycle, or 5-year cycle, pardon me. But anyway, there's going to be some fluctuations there. But even then, we can go on the comptroller's website and we can see that information. And we can pick a year and we can see exactly what it is. This is information I trust because the comptroller is going to get this information from the auditors, and they're going to, and the city has to send this up to the comptroller. So they have to, this is part of their reporting issues that was part of their reportings that they have to do. So, it doesn't really, that's not factual information. And, at the end of it, I'm going to go into the next screenshot here, but I want you to notice the tax rates here as well on the property taxes on houses. We're going to get into that in just a second here, but going in here right now, if you notice, I do not believe in false promises or scare tactics. What I share with you is straightforward, factual, and can be verified by anyone with access to the internet or by calling City Hall. Well, you know what? I went on the internet and I looked into the comptroller's site and I found that wasn't true regarding the 90 cent. City Hall, if City Hall is feeding this information to the alderman, that's a problem because they're giving them false information. And there goes ergo the trust that aldermen have to get factual information, and we're finding out they're not getting factual information. Now, I did reply regarding the property taxes. The problem there is what that did not show is we were actually in in 2023 we actually had a reappraisal. I'm sure most of you guys remember your property values going through the roof. And let me say, property values, they pitch this to you as, oh, your house value increased. That's a great thing. Well, you know what? Yeah, if you plan on selling your house, or maybe you're going to use equity in your house, sure, that's a great thing. But if that's your home, that you're going to stay there the rest of your life, you're going to pass on to your kids, increased value doesn't help you any. Because all that does is make sure that you have to pay more property taxes. All right. On top of that, not only are your property taxes going up, but when your house value goes up, your insurance rates are going up. Your house rates go up. I mean, that's just part of it. And if you're mortgaged, then that means your escrow payment is going to go up. So there's a lot of things to look at in that there is, just because your house has gone up in value, it doesn't always help you. It only helps those who who need the value in their house. Most people don't. Most people, I mean, there's people I talk to quite often around here that's been in the same house forever. And that's their home. It's not a house, it's a home. So, that doesn't really do a lot to help you out at all. Coming back down here, the last page in this here, on his post, this is where I actually brought in the comptroller's website so he could go back through and actually looked at it. And he did thank me, and I liked his thank you. At that point, he turned off commenting. And this is an issue here because, he should be available and he should be able to, if there's dissenting opinions, that's okay. I mean, it's kind of like, there's dissenting opinions on this page. For the most part, we'd let those things fly right on through, and that's not a big issue. We have conversations. We may argue. Next day we're fine. We move on. But, and somebody who's representing us, they should always leave it open for conversation with anyone, within the community and the people that they're actually representing. Now, I'm going to come back here again. The last thing I want to get onto is the hiring freeze. Now, last year we heard about a hiring freeze, and you'll actually hear in this snippet of this video here, and this was from, I believe it was July 19th of last year. It was either 19th or 29th of 2024. Now, this is when we're getting down towards the end of the budget cycle here. And I'm going to show you something with the current agenda that matters in this discussion right this moment. Let's start with the video so we understand about the hiring freeze last year, because there's a lot of candidates right now who are actually bringing that up and talking about it, and some of them actually sit right now on that board. So how they vote coming up tomorrow night will play a part. But I'm gonna show you a video. I'm gonna show you a quick video here. It's I don't know, this one might be a little bit longer, 4 or 5 minutes. But bear with it, and just you can hear what's going on there, and then we're going to come back into the agenda again for tomorrow night.
Everybody keeps trimming the fat. The first 5 years that I was mayor, I never proposed a tax increase. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've warned y'all that you keep putting recurring costs in a budget. Keep putting it in there with no plan and no way to pay for it. My job as mayor, the charter says that I'm supposed to propose a budget. It's not my budget. It's your budget, the board. Not mine, y'all's. I proposed a higher tax freeze to pay for all this additional stuff and everything that our department heads need to keep everything going. You can blame me for everything you want to, and that's fine. I'm just doing my job. And my job is trying to look after the city and take care of our people. And that's what my job is, and that's what I've been trying to do. All right? So we moved that out of the way. Also, I said something to the audience one night that the board had increased water rates, and they increased electric rates. Last year, 2 different times, on February the 27th, Alderman Wildridge made a motion to raise the garbage rates. And then in June of 12, Alderman Wildridge made a motion to raise it 61%. Your garbage bill started out that year at $15.50 and it went to $25. Nobody said nothing then. 61%.
I don't think I voted for that.
You may not have.
Take it out.
I didn't say you did.
It's not, you may not have, it's I did not.
I didn't say that you did.
You're using my term, that's why I'm asking that type of that.
Yep, I am.
You are.
But y'all helped put these positions
We
in
did,
there.
and you know what?
So which ones are the fact? Tell me not one time
Have
you
we
come.
have we asked to get rid of anybody? Have we?
You keep saying we got to trim it.
Trim it, right.
Who?
Let me finish.
Okay.
On, I think maybe the 28th, not, or the week before, you said, you sent us a text and you said, does anybody have anything they want to put on the agenda? No. That's what I did. I text you directly. I want to put a hiring freeze on there. You said, I'm gonna open that in my speech, or you can put it on the agenda, but I want to use it in my speech. Did you say that?
I did.
Did we get to the meeting, and did you open up to that? That we're just gonna put a hiring freeze effective July 1st?
I think I did.
I think that you did. And so you did up until somebody requested, one was quitting, they wanted to hire three. And you said that we had approved a water rate increase so they could do whatever they wanted to do. But when I was talked to about that water increase, it was because of infrastructure and the water going south, the problems we have every year with all that. So when I bring up this cut the fat, I never mentioned sending anybody home. I said, and it worked, right then it worked. When you said it, it worked. When I said it, I got the normal 4 votes against it because, I don't know why, because you weren't here. But what I said was, if somebody quit, if somebody's fired, if somebody retires, if somebody, heaven forbid, dies, not to replace them right now with the city in the shape it's in. Move somebody lateral, move somebody up. But don't replace them right then. Trim the fat. That's my saying, so I'm responding to that, and I still feel the same way.
When the budget wasn't approved on the second reading, we had to start all.
That wasn't even, we had
I know.
not started talking about the budget when you said that.
All right, but that's when we didn't keep the hiring freeze in effect.
Because mine.
But I want to ask you something. You're the only alderman that never came and met with the department heads on the budget.
I came when they done the salary survey thing. It's just like, you want me to come and say, or just like the last week we had one alderman said he wanted to talk to the department heads first. I talked to several of them here in that audience that night. Not one said they had anybody that wasn't essential. I wasn't asking for them to be cut. I'm just saying, you've heard what I said. If they die, retire, quit, fired, don't replace them. You said we hired 17 people, this mayor. And some of them come with that Biden money, which was a bad move. But just because you voted wrong in the past don't mean you can't vote right in the future.
I agree with that.
That's where I stand.
All righty. As you can see in here, there's a understanding about the hiring freeze. It was put on before any vote was made on the budget on May 28th of 2024, and this was the first reading. The mayor put out there, we're going to implement a hiring freeze. Okay. Well, as soon as he didn't get a 74-cent tax increase or his 50-cent tax increase, well, then let's just open it back up to hiring again. All right, and this is where our problem lies, is you didn't raise enough revenue to cover what you had budgeted. And then remember, the mayor presents the budget. Is it the alderman's budget? It's theirs to vote on, but they don't create the budget. That's part of the mayor's job, is he creates the budget. So they gave him a budget. He gave him a budget and talked about a hiring freeze, but when he didn't get the amount of money he wanted in that budget, he took the hiring freeze off and then he hired. Now, I'm going to take and show you something else. I want you to pay attention to this here. We are in an election year. We are in the middle of voting. This will be the last meeting before the election. I don't know if they swear in September or if they swear in October. But this is going to be the last time that they're going to take and make a push. We're going back to the agenda. 7.7. There's a vacancy at the police department, and unfortunately, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Let me take and pull over to it right quick. 7.9, I believe it is. 7.10, I'm sorry. So 7.7, filling a vacancy in the police department, and 7.10 is filling a vacancy /S. It's got S in parentheses, so vacancies in the utilities department. All right, here we go. Now, I've gotten information sent to me that, Rest in peace, Michael Hayes passed away. And that did leave a vacancy. But from what I'm being told is the director, Justin Roach, wants to wants 6, but he's willing to accept 3. This could possibly be the last time that these department heads have a board that will take and give them whatever they want or have enough. Because if positions change enough, if there's a swing in here, they might be not getting all the stuff they want. It might actually come under scrutiny, based on the campaigning that we're hearing from some people that, that's a possibility. They may not get they're going to have to start making some cuts. I'm not going to say it's just cuts in the proposed budget. It's going to be cuts in the previous, and maybe in the previous budgets. The term balanced budgets is being thrown out quite a bit as well. But understanding that this is where we are, a hiring freeze is a necessity at this point. We've already, I haven't shared with you guys actual salaries, but as we know, we're sitting somewhere around about $7.5 million in what we're paying in salaries and benefits. And I'm going to tell you, and there, the mayor has kind of, in that meeting where I took that excerpt with the hiring freeze, the mayor threw the board under the bus. And, he put all the blame on their shoulders. And yeah, they do vote. They are the ones that vote, but they vote based on the information that he's sharing with them and the department heads. So is it fair to throw them under the bus? I don't believe it is. They do the best. They do what they can do with the information that's given to them. Fortunately, we have aldermen right now who are actually paying attention to that, and they're actually they're changing how they vote. That's one of the things that Alderman Rhodes said in that last little clip right there is, you know what? If I change the way I voted, isn't that a good thing? And that's what's happened. And when he put it right there, it's because there's a learning curve. They took their learning curve and figured it out, and now they see what's going on, and that's how they're actually taking a stand and voting. So have they made mistakes in the past? Sure they have. Will they make mistakes in the future? Obviously they will. We're all human. But they're dealing with information that's given to them, and if that information isn't factual, then it's not fair to take and pass it down onto them to say that this is totally theirs. And when it comes to employees, I'm going to say this here. For those of you who've been to meetings, I know some of you, some of the department heads and aldermen can attest to this here. I have heard the mayor pitch so many times for employees. He does. I used to hear the mayor talk about citizens when I first started paying attention. He used to talk about, well, we do for one, we got to do for all. That was his little catchphrase back then. But he doesn't talk about that anymore. What I hear him saying these days, well, you want your toilets to flush, and you want your lights to turn on. We got to take care of our people. He switched gears, and he has gone from taking care of the people who elected him to taking care of his buddies. And that's a bad spot where we're in. But anyway, this is I wanted you guys to have this because I know people keep talking about voting, and it's a very, very important thing. And we are, I think we're close to 250 votes in a day and a half, which is that's a very high count that early. Which it goes to say that the people are actually they're ready for a change. They're tired of what's been going on, and I think that they're playing that part now and saying, hey, you know what? We're going to get out and we're going to fix this. We're going to take and change things. So, kudos to you guys getting out there voting. Kudos to you paying attention and learning and listening. The one thing I will say is, when you're looking at information, you really need to find the truth. And you really need to see the depth of it. It's not just always on the surface. It's not found in minutes all the time, because it doesn't bring the discussion about. And I think that's very vital in all of this here. You know, I used to hear people talk to me, tell me, why don't you go and talk to the people in charge? Well, you know what? I used to do that, and then I got bad information. And then I would get chastised over putting out bad information. You know, a prime example is when we shared a post. It wasn't our post, we just shared it. Now, granted, we talked about it, but we shared the post from from Public Works about them paving Fairgrounds Drive. Well, they put it out in a post on their Facebook page, and we shared that. And of course, you know, we get jumped. Well, they're not paving Fairgrounds Drive. Well, why did they say they were? And once the once the backlash started coming, they never corrected it. They kept it up there. You know, so you know, if this goes to show, and this is where a lot of people I have talked to and understand, some of these aldermen, the trust is gone. They just can't trust in the people that they've got running these jobs, because they're not giving them factual information. And I don't fault the aldermen whatsoever in where they stand there. You know, and I don't fault the people either. I mean, you can only, if you can't get the truth from somebody, then, you know, what are you supposed to do? But you know, and I've seen that. I've seen it happen quite often. But anyway, I wanted you guys to have this information. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I get calls, I get contacts, texts, messages sent to me, asking me questions all the time. You know, where does this person stand? Where does this person stand? You know, so if you really want to know the truth about things, you kind of need to pay attention and understand what is happening in the context of a vote, not just what the minutes reflect, because the minutes don't show much of the conversation at all, if any. And that's one of the problems that you'll always face, is you don't know exactly the reason someone voted that way unless you're paying attention or you're talking to them. And I'm sorry, but like I said, the trust factor in our local government has just dropped. Just for me personally, I have very little faith in them. We do have some good people that we've got elected. And then we've got some other ones that don't have nothing but their own agenda, and they don't care what happens to any of us. And that's just not how representation should be. But, you know, and again, that's my personal opinion. But I'm going to wrap this up for the night. Thank you for bearing with me. Like I said, I'm not feeling that well. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you continue to get out and vote next week. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm extremely impressed to see that many votes in that short a period of time. And everyone I've talked to are happy about it too. So, you know, keep it up, keep doing what you're doing, and we will catch you. Tomorrow night is the city meeting. So, you know, we'll have to do a recap on that there. And we still got the Henderson County Planning Commission meeting that we've got to do recap on, because not a single person from the Henderson County Planning Commission has reached out, nor has the mayor, about coming up here and providing you guys factual information. So it is where it is, but we're going to we're closing this here off for the night. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you sometime next week. Have a good one.